Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, I have a new friend with me, and can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Sure. So my name is Ashley Carroll. First and foremost, I am a human being. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been living here since 2017. I met my husband here randomly on a work trip in 2016. And so I moved here in 2017, and the rest is history. I absolutely love it here. Second, I am the founder of Operations House. We are a small business consultancy focusing on operational excellence for small businesses. And really, what that means is making sure that everything is running smoothly in a way that is not causing harm to anyone. And that's an approach that not a lot of operations people take. We still focus on profitability and all that good fun stuff, but we have this extra bucket we like to check. And so what I love about that is that the impact that we are making on the community, on women, on marginalized communities, by just kind of forcing the conversation into the C-suite room of, great, we are making a profit, we're doing things well. How are we sending all of this goodwill back down to the team that helped us build this? And so I think a lot of times wealth can sometimes be built on other people's backs, as some people can say. And so we are here to make sure that that doesn't happen. We want to see small businesses grow, and we want to see them take their team with them.
Nice, nice. Very, very cool. And small businesses are they do feed the community. You always see those I guess the inserts about what it does, the impact to the community that a small business has, as opposed to shopping at, like what they say, the big box stores. You have a greater impact when you know shop or work with small businesses.
Absolutely. And especially when you're a single entrepreneur, you're giving directly back to that person. And that's great. I know I love watching the videos of the transactions happening at the counter and then them bending down and freaking out behind the counter because they made a sale. But also, I'm here to say, great, if you have grown bigger than that and you have achieved personal financial freedom for yourself, a lifestyle balance for yourself, wealth for yourself and your family, all these things. Now let's not stop at just you. What about the team? And I think that's the best thing about what we do is you are giving back to small businesses, and not just that owner, but your neighbor who's working for that small business is also going to get that impact. And it's just great to be having a very symbiotic community in that way.
Yeah, for sure. So how like give us examples of how the small business owner can give back to the employee as they're doing better, right? How do they help the employee do better as well?
Absolutely. So, having a team is so different from working independently. And we know that I've had an experience and I'm still a W-2 employee in some regards. Every one of us who's owned a business has usually been an employee in some regards. So, you know what that experience is like. So, try to ground yourself back into that experience and think, what would I want in this situation? So, first, just putting yourself in their shoes, having empathy for their experience, not forgetting that they're still a human. And it's easy to, when you're the owner and you're thinking about the bottom line or what's next or the bigger vision, it's easy to think of these puzzle pieces, but we're still human. And so take that part out of it and approach the human side of it and say, okay, what can I afford to give back? What is my budget in terms of dollars, in terms of emotional capacity? What can I afford to give to my team? And then go to your team and have that transparent conversation. What do you need? Do you need more support? Do you need more training? Do you need time off? Do you need tools? Do you want software? Do you want an admin? to help with some button clicking that you're doing. The budgets can be from zero to millions of dollars. There are ways to make impact, but the first thing you need to do is remember that your employees are humans and deserve really, that TLC that you want them to have, that you would want as an employee. And the second thing would be to ask them. Don't assume that you know. Ask them what they need. You don't know. You can't assume. Everyone's experience and their life is so different outside of the hours that they spend with you. They could be the single breadwinner. They could be a single parent. They could be in a not the single breadwinner and in a marriage. There's no telling what's going to motivate someone versus someone else, or what they need to really be taken care of in order to show up and do their job well. So asking them is my number one piece of advice on, the first step to take.
That's great advice. Good. I mean, it's basic, but it's so something you wouldn't even think because, like, as a business arm, you think, oh, well, wouldn't it be great to give them a bonus? And maybe they need something else, or maybe that bonus does help, but maybe not enough. And can you stretch it or something like that? That's
Yeah,
great
or as an
advice.
employee, I think, oh, a bonus, that's great, but I'm going to get taxed super high on it. And it's not predictable income. I want to be able to go back to my family and say, we are going to get $120 more a month in our budget, ongoing. And that is a lot. That provides a lot more stability to someone in that situation than a year-end bonus. So just keeping that perspective of, bringing, I think what the hardest thing is, particularly as a woman, but a young woman and having young employees, is you're not always brought into the decision-making process. And I really want to challenge that. There are a lot of owners who have the best of intentions and think, well, wouldn't it be great? But if you don't actually pass that idea through the team who it's going to, it's great in theory, and then we'll wait for their feedback. Or we can just go right to the source and make sure that it's useful before we go through all the hard work of implementing it.
That's a great idea. Great thought patterns. And what size businesses do you usually work with?
Yeah, so typically I work with teams that are starting around 2 to 3 employees, because that's when you start to feel the burn of just
Mm.
wanting everything to be cohesive, organized, who's playing what roles. But I've worked with companies up to $20 million. The biggest thing for me is kind of two factors. One, that the owners are committed. They know that the ultimate goal of having a profitable, successful business is to create a community of employees who also reap those benefits. So they have to commit to that. And the second being that they are typically don't receive VC funding for that reason, that a lot of boards are now, directing the decision making about salaries, hiring roles, and it just really complicates the decision making process. So I typically see businesses between $1 to $5 million, because that's where businesses are growing to support themselves and their family lifestyle wise, and then having a small team to support them and keep things running and moving.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. So tell us, if anyone listening wants to learn more about your practice and your business, where can they go to find that information out, and what social medias can they follow you on?
Yeah, so I'm biggest on LinkedIn. So Ashley Carroll, my personal LinkedIn, but you can also find my business Operations House on there. My website is operations.house. I also have the classic www.operationshouse.com, which will forward you there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I'm everywhere. I also don't have a TikTok yet, but I'm so close. And you
Can't.
can
I
find me
can't. I can't
anywhere.
do it.
I
Yeah.
find that it's just funny. It gives me a good laugh every time. I know other social media makes me laugh out loud like
Yeah.
TikTok does. So I just give
Yeah.
myself 10 minutes. Um, yeah, you can find me anywhere. I'm going to also be at the Downingtown Fall Fest on October 15th of this month.
Mm.
So not sure when this episode's dropping. It's
Mm.
2023. So next year when
Yeah.
someone's listening to this, I'm not at the Downingtown Fall Fest. Um, you can find me anywhere, and please don't hesitate to reach out to me, even if you think I'm not exactly sure how to explain my problem, or I don't even know how someone would go about fixing this. that is typically the place owners are in when I talk with them. They are wearing way too many hats. They are doing way too many roles. They're clicking way too many buttons. And
Mm.
this business that they've built has become sort of golden handcuffs to them. They built it to create personal wealth, financial freedom for themselves, and then it becomes this golden handcuff, like I'm saying. And from all the outside perspective, they're successful on all accounts, but they feel very beholden 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to running this business and making it happen. And that is not the lifestyle I think most business owners imagined they would be leading as the goal. And so you can speak to that.
Oh, well, yeah, because if you speak to any entrepreneur, it's like this from the outside, it's very glamorous. Oh, you're an entrepreneur. It looks so fun and snappy and crisp and all that stuff. And then you actually talk to the entrepreneurs and we're like, oh yeah, it's not like the balanced life where I work 10 hours a week and I'm off 40. You're crushing it. You're
Yeah, it
just
becomes
work,
your
work, work.
identity,
Yeah,
at
it
least
does.
part
It
of
does.
it.
And you have to be careful. You have to be careful with that.
Of course. And I would recommend to any employee that if your work is becoming part of your identity, that is a huge red flag. But for
Hmm.
your owner to have your business as part of your identity, of course, it represents a very important, special part of you. And so all of a sudden, you're dreaming about it, and your best ideas are coming in the shower, and you can't take a vacation without being like, I'm just curious. Like, it's not that it's a bad thing, but there is a point where it's not sustainable, and that's what I'm
Right.
after. I want
Yeah.
small businesses to build a sustainable business and pattern so that they can continue to, it's not just achieving a goal, it's maintaining that once you're there. And
Right.
if you have a team that you're not treating with the utmost care, that is something that will take up so much of your time and emotional effort, and it's expensive to replace employees. So, 1 in 5 women have reported mental health issues in the last year. And so check in on your team and make
Yeah.
sure that they are okay. And that is how you grow a sustainable business, because they're not going to go anywhere because they know that you truly care about them. So that takes it all
Yeah.
the way back to the top of like why we're doing this and why employees and that perspective is so important to the business owner. Um, you know, I think it's a different
Yeah.
approach, and some people think it's costly, but it's not. You can have a budget of $0. It's asking questions, asking questions is free, and caring is free. So,
Yeah. And that reminds me of a saying. It's like, it's not what you, and I'm going to get the saying wrong, but it's not what you say, it's what you do. And if you show them you care, it goes a long way.
100%. As an
Yeah.
employee, knowing my boss cares about me, like, I don't think about going anywhere else, and I'm not scared. I don't cry before I show up, and I tell everybody how much I love my job. And we've got a line of applicants coming in because they want to work here too, because they see my experience. And I hope that it gives back to her in that way. I
Oh,
hope
that's
that,
awesome.
it's a goal of hers too, to provide that experience to someone else. And I know it is,
Yeah.
or I wouldn't work there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, that actually leads me into the next question. What are some of the challenges that you have faced as a professional woman?
Yeah, I mean, I have twofold here. The first is kind of what I've already mentioned, and that you're not brought into the decision making process as much. Even as a business owner myself, sometimes vendors may not assume I'm the decision maker over email or in person, things of that nature. And it's just about correcting them in a
Hmm.
loving way and holding other people accountable to giving you the respect that you deserve. But the second thing is there is a lot of conversation about women having a hard time or having these struggles in the workplace. And if you enter the arena with that in mind, that this place is against me, you might behave differently than if you walked into the arena with the confidence that I don't care what other people perceive of me. I know I deserve to belong in this room, and that's how I'm going to behave. So I think that's been a struggle, is getting to that place, just in mindset as a woman, that maybe men don't get to. Like they just may feel like, hey, this is a room I've been invited into, and so I'm here and I deserve to be here and people will listen to me. But a lot of times, even being invited into a room as a woman, you're going to enter it feeling like, just by default, that you may not be welcome there. And I challenge that notion. Come in with a lot more confidence and see what happens.
That's great. That's really good. Really good. Um, all right. So I know you are very young and you have so many years ahead of you, and you're going to do great things. I cannot wait to follow your career,
Thank you.
and your business, of course. But tell us, if you were to go in the time machine, what would your retirement vision look like?
Absolutely. I actually know this one down to a T, because I do hope to kind of retire early, in the sense that I have personal financial freedom to choose what I do with my time in terms of how I earn my living. And so
Right.
I really imagine my ultimate goal is to take what I'm doing with Operations House, where people are providing or paying me for these services to help them with their business, and ultimately turn it into a nonprofit where we are helping small businesses, being built by marginalized communities and women, to get the services that they need, that they typically receive in accelerators, or from people who take equity from their company. So my retirement vision, outside of just hanging out with my amazing husband, who is also a teacher. I heard your other guests say, everyone marry a teacher. Highly recommend, second that. Marry a teacher, excellent vacation days, excellent benefits,
Mm.
and just excellent hearts.
Oh,
But
they have great health insurance too.
oh my gosh, I got my wisdom teeth
Such good
out
health
for
insurance plans.
$30. I tell
Yeah.
everyone, but ultimately that's the vision, is to be able to stop being driven by my own financial need to do this, and be able to really do it, for businesses that I am personally connected to, especially small businesses owned by women and in BIPOC communities, because I had that experience. My mom was a small business owner when I was young, and she was a single mom. And that was a very challenging experience. And I don't think that we would change anything, but I think it would have been different had there been other resources out there for her. And so that's hopefully what I'll be doing in my retirement time machine, 20, 30 years from now, maybe.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And the good thing is, from when your mom was, same similar age as you, and my mom, same thing, versus now, we have way more support. We have way more opportunities. I mean, the women before us, like your mom, my mom, they've done some of the hard work for us. That doesn't mean we still have more hard work to do, but they've, helped make it easier for us to be successful. So always want to shout out to the women who came before us to help us get as far as we have gotten. And we just have to make sure we get a little bit further for the next group of ladies.
Yeah, excellent. Shout out to my mom. You're awesome. Love you.
Yeah. Way to go, mom.
Hey, mom. Yeah, I agree with that completely. And when they say like trailed the path for you, I mean, that is how it feels. It feels like you're walking through the snow and
Hmm.
someone has just been there before you. And it's
With
not
a
easy,
shovel.
but like shout out to them for making that path, because yeah, and that's the last thing I'll say is, to your point, there are so many other resources out here. Another message that keeps coming down the pipeline for some reason is like, these resources are going to lower your value or take away your
Mm.
value as a human employee somehow, like this AI and all this stuff. And I definitely want to challenge that too. These are resources to use. Nothing will take away the innate value that you provide as a human being and your experience. No AI is going to replace that. So these are
No, it will not.
tools that you need to be using and getting familiar with, because that will get you into rooms, as opposed to saying like, oh, I'm afraid of this, or I've heard that this is my enemy. Again, challenging these things that you're hearing. Where are you hearing them from, and why are they being told to you? I don't know. I've just got a lot to challenge in terms of what people are
I like it.
capable of.
I like it. And I think that's going to be our action item today. And one, remember that we're human, human first, right? And use that human character to, embolden yourself and great, ingrace yourself into the world. And because AI can't do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been such a pleasure. I really appreciate your
Absolutely.
time. Yeah, and I can't wait to keep following you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks everyone for joining us. Again, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. My website is forgewealth.com. You can follow me on Facebook and YouTube at Forge Wealth, on Instagram at Forge Wealth Management, and LinkedIn is Regina McCann Hess. Go make it a great day.